absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Maybe. How much porn could you watch in a day? I know that sounds funny, Abby, but let's ask another question.
I have no idea.
Yeah, sure. How much violence could you watch in a day?
Oh.
And when I say like violence or I say porn, what happens if we even put them together? What about sexual violence? How much do you think you could watch in a day?
For me, I probably only one is it's enough
Maybe
for
a bit
me.
rough, right? I remember once I was when I still used to use Facebook, I saw every now and again something would slip through. Like I saw a guy having sex with a dog on Facebook. I promise. I 100% guarantee I saw this thing. I was like, dude, and he had a big dog, and then he sat in a chair, and like, I thought he was gonna have sex with the dog, but then the next minute he picked up his legs, and the dog had sex with him. Yeah, I swear I saw this thing. It was the worst thing. And I'm not into that kind of stuff at all. When I saw this, I was horrified. Right, I couldn't believe like what I'd seen. It was shocking. But
So
I quickly went on with my life. I told a few people what I'd seen and over, right? Now, why did I want to bring this up with you, right? Because, we're always these days kind of arguing about like what we can show. And we've had one or two of our videos deleted and we've had to appeal. One we've won, one we've lost. And I think that somebody's being forgotten. And that's the people who do this moderating.
Because someone.
Yeah. Do you ever watch that show, Naked and Afraid?
No.
Like my fiance and I watch this show a lot. It's called Naked and Afraid. It's like if you want to try and survive in nature.
I see.
Yeah, you might have seen it. They take you to a place, you take off all your clothes, you've got nothing, and then you got to go and live there for like 3 weeks. And they always have the mosaic.
Spaceship.
And I've often wondered, like, the person who puts that mosaic, can you imagine how bad it must be? What do you do for hours? You watch this video adding the mosaic, and you get to see the nudity, right? You see them naked and the balls flapping and the boobs go up and down and the assholes every time people bend over and stuff. Like, I've seen like the guys on Naked and Afraid sometimes talking about it and saying, I've never been this close to so many naked people when I wasn't like involved with them.
Oh, and the camera person is always watching.
Yeah, so that must be pretty hard to do for a job. But what do you do all day? Watch naked people and add the mosaic. Yeah, that sounds funny, right? But then I came across this article recently talking about the TikTok guys, the moderators. And TikTok's become really popular.
Yeah.
And these guys are complaining because they're saying that they are traumatized. You know this word, traumatized?
It's like they feel very bad or hurt after.
How do you say it in Chinese? Traumatized.
创伤.
Okay. So these guys are trying to actually sue. And the interesting thing for me here was I found out that actually the guys who do this, I think they're contractors. They don't actually work for Facebook or TikTok. I think that they actually contract that job out. I'm guessing that they might be doing this as a way to kind of put some separation between them and these people so that they're not liable, they're not responsible for these people. But I mean, can you imagine what it's like to sit and watch people being killed? Because they do that, right? There are a lot of these videos of people cutting off people's heads. Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at this article and you'll see some of these things, right? So they said here that in July already, there was a former Facebook content moderators rebelled against Facebook, saying that they were going to try and invalidate their non-disclosure agreements. Non-disclosure means you're not allowed to share.
Like a secret.
Yeah, that Facebook forces all content moderators to sign so that they don't tell people about what's going on. And it said, to squeal to the press about the freak show of mayhem and debauchery that they're subjected to. So mayhem is like craziness and debauchery is like really like, I don't know how to describe that word, like really terrible stuff that you're seeing, right? But I mean, this is a link, so maybe we can click on it and see what they're talking about. Okay, this is the old article that they'd had. I don't know, that might be just a stock photo. But I've read through some of this stuff, and they say when they see people's heads being chopped off, sexual kind of violence, like all sorts. I'm trying to see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is here, right? So Facebook users post millions of videos, images, and live stream broadcasts of child sexual abuse, rape, torture, bestiality. That's the one I saw. And people having sex with animals, beheadings, chopping off heads, suicide, and murder. Millions, right? So people post millions of these types of videos, and then these guys are saying that they suffer from PTSD. I can understand it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if that's your job every day. So they say here, you'd go into work at 9 a.m. every morning, turn on your computer, and watch someone have their head cut off. Every day, every minute, that's what you see. Heads being cut off. And that guy told The Guardian. And it's not like it's a movie where you know it's fake. You know, like
it's
most
true.
of it's
Probably
true, right? You're seeing real kinds of videos like this. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think though, like, you know, for us people who are posting onto YouTube, we complain sometimes, I think, about the moderators, but I don't think that we see the nuance. We see the other side of this coin. That actually these guys must have a horrible job.
Yeah.
Just so that we can keep safe. People who use social media can be safe from seeing it. It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, before the kind of video don't have the access to spread, but right now it's free and it's very convenient. So, yeah, I can think about like millions videos
all the time. Yeah.
all the time. So how can I stop it? So they have lots of moderators have to watch all of this.
Yeah, the moderators, right? Yeah, they've got that's their job. That's what you do every day. You go there, and I'm sure they have a quota. A quota, like how much content per day you're supposed to check through. Like all jobs have kind of a performance thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to work and you say, oh, geez, today I'm going to have spent so many hours looking at this, and tomorrow the same thing, and the next day, like something that it's not this, but it's related. That I saw a video once of a chicken farm. And these guys were throwing chickens into a truck alive. But literally, I mean, throwing the chickens at the wall of the truck and like really hurting and breaking their wings, their bones by throwing them basically against the wall. And it's not only chickens. I've seen it with in New Zealand with sheep, like treating the sheep that are going to be killed really badly. And when they take and cows, when they take the baby cows away from the mothers so that the mothers can keep the milk. And I always wondered why these guys treated the animals so cruelly.
Yeah, what?
And I'm guessing possibly when you're around so much death all the time that it desensitizes you to it.
I mean, the brain gonna...
Something happens, right? And I think once you've done it for a long enough time, you're immune. And basically it becomes, you can almost joke about it because you just, you know, you're so used to it or desensitized.
I see, you're like used to the environment. You don't feel... bad.
And possibly even worse than that, you go past the point where you always become like that. You're hurting those animals when it comes to those ways. Maybe to get your frustration out, or maybe it changes you in some way. I don't know. But I'm guessing something similar might happen with this. I mean, like, if you watch stuff every day, it has to affect you.
Yeah, possibly just feel really bad, or they just get used to it. They think that is normal.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I've heard that if, like in America, I was watching a podcast yesterday, that if you're a policeman and you're ever involved in a shooting, you have to go for a minimum of 3 sessions with a psychologist. Even if you don't want to, you have to. And they say at any time, for a lot of the police departments, at any time you can request free counseling. Even if you're just having problems with your wife, your husband or something, you can get counseling. So I get why they do that and have those laws and rules so that these guys can do it. But then I wonder what's happening with these people, because they're probably going through it a lot more than police officers. This is daily, right?
Yeah, but they don't have the I don't know if they have the certain support. For counseling.
Well, I think that's why there's this article. They're complaining about this, saying that they're not really getting enough. And I think when it's done through a contractor, then you've got that separation between the social media company and then the contractor, right?
I see.
So that's why, if you look at it, what they're doing is they're making a class action lawsuit in California. Do you know class action lawsuit? Class action lawsuit is like a lot of people all have the same problem, and then they have a joint court case,
like a group.
Yeah, a group. Right? So they're doing like a class action lawsuit because this person, Candy Fraser, says she spent 12 hours a day moderating videos uploaded to TikTok for a third-party contracting firm named TELUS International.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine 12 hours a day? That's why initially I asked the question, how much porn could you watch? And if you look at the porn addiction issue, you'll see that just watching a lot of porn actually has effects on the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine watching 12 hours of sex and death and terrible stuff every single day?
12 hours?
A day.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
And check what she says, right? She says she witnessed thousands of acts of extreme and graphic violence, including mass shootings, child rape, animal mutilation, like cutting parts of the body off, cannibalism, people eating people, gang murder, and genocide. Wow.
That's all. I think that's a crime, and illegal.
And check, she said that she and her fellow moderators had to watch between 3 and 10 videos simultaneously at the same time. 3 to 10 videos at the same time, with new videos loaded in at least every 25 seconds. And moderators are only allowed to take one 15-minute break in the first 4 hours of their shift.
Only 15?
And then another additional 15-minute breaks every 2 hours after that. That does not sound like a fun job.
Sounds like a punish.
Does. And getting PTSD from it. And Fraser says here, the lawsuit says Fraser has trouble sleeping, and when she does sleep, she has horrific nightmares. She often lies awake at night trying to go to sleep, replaying the videos she has seen in her mind. She has severe and debilitating panic attacks. I can understand why you get panic attacks, right? It's a shame.
Yeah, that's too terrible. Imagine just like I watched a horror movie, just one, and you also can create the nightmare for a week.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some horror movies where like 10, 15 years ago, where I sometimes at night think about one of those scenes.
Think about the scene, right?
Whoa, like, and these people are watching all this live, real stuff all the time.
Yeah, and it's real. So it's more scared because no massacre.
Sure. Like I used to think like being like a garbage person was a
person?
It was like a bad job, right? You take the garbage and stuff.
No,
and that's a hard job. This sounds like the worst job in the world.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a worse job than this.
But somehow seems like someone have to do that, right? Because
we're all demanding it, right? We're all demanding that these companies. That's why I wanted to talk about this, right? Because it's just like it seems like this forgotten part of this. Like we complain about the YouTube
about the censoring,
right? Yeah. And I think a lot of people complain all the time, but we don't realize that someone has to do this.
Yeah, we think. Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's true. We forgot about it. We just think, maybe just. We think moderate is so annoying, just so peaking. But series, they have to watch all of this bullshit.
It's insane, right?
It's insane. I think only probably 1 minute or 5 minutes. I'm enough. I couldn't do that anymore. But they have to do like 12 hours a day, and maybe they have to do like a week or a month.
And how do you fix that?
I don't know, maybe use a computer algorithm, but it couldn't help all of that. So you have to, you still need people
come on, they
it.
must have algorithms already. Because I know that when our videos have been caught on YouTube that they didn't like, it, the algorithm caught it first. And then when we appealed, it was to a human to have a look at it. Yeah. So that means that if YouTube's doing it, I'm sure they're doing it as well. So the videos that they're checking probably...
Already filtered.
Or they were caught and they need to be reviewed to make sure, because otherwise people start complaining. So when I saw this, it really gave me like a different point of view. I still get annoyed by the censorship. But then like if you think about it, like the stuff that we're complaining about, we might be talking about a vaccine or something, But the same people who's seeing all this shit are also probably checking the vaccine and stuff. So I suppose we should be a little bit more forgiving and respectful.
Yeah.
Of them, right?
I remember like sometimes we think in these days maybe no censorship to the the opinions will be better, because if you censor too much it will limit the freedom. So it's better to let the conversation all of that, and at the end the right thing we're gonna feel out, or people will use their logic to identify it, right? That's the original thinking I have. But right now, after seeing this, maybe not all of it, because we still have this kind of virus there. Should we really let this kind of thing spread it? I don't know.
How do you stop it, right?
That's
like,
true.
Like, how do you stop it? Like, I mean, because the root here is people, right? People are the ones trying to spread all this stuff.
The root is people.
I don't know why. Why would you try to spread videos of people hurting animals and raping children? And so, I mean, I like to give humanity the benefit of the doubt. I think that's a very, very small minority of people. But when you look at how many people there are in the world, they're tiny minorities. Actually, a lot of people. How do you stop it? How do you stop them from posting these things? And then you want to say, if someone posts this, right, you should ban them and stuff. But then where does banning go, and who controls the banning? And then will there be unfair banning once you give people that power?
Since it's couldn't fix the problem.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then you kind of understand. I wanted to show you this thing. I don't know if you heard about this before, but Microsoft had this AI chatbot. And
Racist.
it became like a crazy racist, like Nazi kind of thing in less than a day. So it took less than 24 hours for Twitter to corrupt an innocent AI chatbot. So Microsoft had this chatbot called Tay. And the company described as an experiment in conversational understanding. The more you chat with Tay, the smarter it gets, learning to engage people through like casual, playful conversation. But as soon as it got onto Twitter, check here, pretty soon after Tay launched, people started tweeting the bot with all sorts of misogynistic, racist, and Donald Trumpist remarks or whatever. And then essentially the AI started saying all this crazy stuff.
You mean like people turned the Tay into a Nazi?
Yeah, it became like really, really like racist and terrible. Started saying all these nasty things, and So here, look, we're gonna build a wall, and Mexico's gonna pay for it. It started saying Trump stuff.
This
right?
Trump stuff.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
Ricky.
New phone. Who dis? Is Ricky Gervais an atheist? I don't know. It said a whole lot of funny things. So I don't know. But I now understand a lot more. That's why I loaded this up. I kind of understand why the internet must be a really filthy place, right? With all this crazy stuff.
I think it's because it's you were not show your name on the internet. It's anonymous, so they will show the bad side of the people.
Sure, but again, how do you fix it? You make it not anonymous. But then people can like get singled out or caught for things. I don't know. I don't know if making.
I think it's in humanity, right?
Yeah, like what happens if you gave everybody a unique ID number for the internet?
That's not a fun thing.
No, and I don't think. I think that people have talked about like some of the negatives that would happen from that. It doesn't really make sense, right? So the anonymity is a really great thing in some ways, but then in other ways, it's like a double-edged sword. And it's really bad.
Yeah, that's just one thing. Have a good side and bad side, but just we have to know this kind of bad side.
Yeah,
is here.
There's always such nuance. I really had a great experience yesterday. I was watching the Tim Pool, and they had another guy I really like watching, Officer Tatum. Have you seen him? He's a black guy in America. He has his own channel. I think he's got like 1.7 million subscribers, and he used to be a police officer. And he's really cool. Like if you listen to him talk, he makes a lot of good points. And he was on yesterday, and they were talking about like what what people should do with the police, right? And the one guy was saying that the police should, if they see that there's a law that's being made, and the police think that like the police officers themselves think that law is against the Constitution, the police should say, I'm not going to enforce this law. And that was the one guy's point. But then this Officer Tatum guy brought the nuance, and he explained, and he said, yeah, but like you're looking at the COVID thing, and you're saying like if the policeman thinks about maybe like lockdowns or bad or something like that, they shouldn't follow that law. But then he said, but you got to realize that there are other people in society who believe that the virus is really deadly, and that if people don't lock down, it's going to kill people. So you want them to do that, but what about those other people? And then the guy was saying, yeah, but like the police should, use their judgment. But then because this guy was a police officer, he said, yeah, but it doesn't make sense. He's like, because there are so many levels from the government guys down to the next level, 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 before you get to that police officer. And then he was also saying that often the police have lawyers come in and tell them, like, this is what you can do, this is what you can't, this is what's against the law, this is what's by the law. And I really got not the Officer Tatum, the other guy, I really got his point and what he wants. And he's saying, listen, if the police see that a law like doesn't make sense or it's against the Constitution, you shouldn't follow it. And that made a lot of sense to me. But then when I heard what the other guy was talking about the realities of being a police officer, and then you see more of the nuance, you kind of find the midpoint. Does that make sense? So like, what do you think? I mean, just talking about that, do you think if there's a law that says that if you don't have the vaccine, let's say you can't open your business, and then if the police officer thinks that law is bad, should he go and shut down your business? Or should he say, I know that's the law, but I don't agree. I think that's against the Constitution. I'm not going to do it. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's so hard, but depends on. I think it depends on their boss.
Well, that's what he said. He said that it's coming from the boss.
Yeah.
And then the guy said, yeah, but it's coming from the boss, but it's illegal, kind of. It's against the Constitution. You have the right to work. So he thinks that the police officer should choose not to follow and not shut down that business. But then the guest on the show, Officer Tatum, was saying, yeah, but that comes from the top. And then the guy said to him, he's like, yeah, but you know what? If you look at history, there are all these times where the police officers, like in Nazi Germany, right? We're just doing our job. We're doing what people told us to do. And that makes a lot of sense in one way. But then the guy said, yeah, but you've got to look deeper. That it's not like it was just like the mayor told that police officer. The mayor told someone who told someone who told someone. There are all the different levels in the police, how it goes down to, and then there are lawyers checking things. So it's very hard for that police officer to do that.
It's very hard for them to just say no, or they have to quit.
Yeah, and then what happens if there are other people who believe that if you keep that shop open, it's going to cause death? It might not be true, but there are people who believe it.
Yeah.
So now you want them to say no, but somebody else wants them to really say yes. So when I started watching the show, I kind of agreed, because I also heard like people like in Nazi Germany, I was just following orders, right? And I agreed with that point. But then by listening to someone who'd been a police officer, and when he showed all the different nuance to that, it really changed my opinion. And I kind of think now I've found an opinion that's more in the middle. And I think that's going back to this, right? Like, we all complain about this, the moderators, and we all complain about how they're censoring people and stuff. But we have to see the other side of the coin. We have to see that actually who is doing this stuff, and how easy or difficult is it to do, and what other options are there.
Yes, just standing on their shoes and see what's the good thing, the bad thing.
Yeah. So I really love nuance. And that's why I'm just sharing that example of that video I was watching yesterday, because that really, really like caught my eye.
That's true. Like a
yeah.
change. You said so. Like our thoughts will not lean into one side too, too far away.
Sure,
You
and
have
it's
a
very
little-
important to hear both sides.
Yeah. So you have to you're understanding like the pros and cons, unless you were, just in the middle side.
So it's like in that example, right? You think it's so easy for the police officer or the army guy to just say, no, I think that's wrong. And then that Officer Tatum gave another good example. He's like, well, what happens if you believe like marijuana is good or bad? And you're a policeman. So if you're a policeman and you see someone with marijuana, but you think it's a good thing, should you say, I'm not going to arrest you? Yes, marijuana's cool. But then another policeman thinks marijuana's bad. Should he then put his own views into how he does the job?
But
And imagine if all the police were doing that. That'd be crazy.
His job is like against his value. He probably know, the marijuana it's okay. It's not addictive. It's just see lots of countries already open to this plant. But for example, in Taiwan, it's just illegal, and you have to arrest it.
Well, in America, it's also illegal in a lot of places.
Yes.
But then what happens, his example was, what happens if you're a police officer, but someone in your family was addicted to drugs and lost their life, and you really think drugs are bad?
Yeah.
Should you be putting your personal opinions into that? And
That
imagine if all the police did that on all these different issues. There'd be no consistency with the law. So it's like, yes, I get the thing about Germany where the people said, I was just following orders, and that's a tough thing. But what's the solution? And it's so simple to say, these police officers should just do this. But when you then talk to an actual police officer, you start to see all the little things.
Yes.
And then you see it's not as easy or as simple as
not
it sounds
easy.
to just say. And it's the same thing as this. We can complain about censorship and everything, but whose job is it? And how difficult is it? Because I think that often what we do is we more just look at it and we forget those people, and we say it's Google or it's YouTube or it's Facebook. But it's much more complicated than that. And there's much more nuance in that. So I feel really bad for these people. Having to watch porn and killings all day long, every day. I hope they're making a lot of money.
That's true. It seems really like a hot job. It's a really a new thing for me, because I think every job all have the difficulties they have to they have to challenge. But if I'm an outsider, when I look at them, I only think about myself. I think how these people affect my life. That's only one thing I think. But if I put myself into their side, I will think, I can understand why you do this.
Sure. So nuance is important, but that's why it's important to read, right, and to learn stuff and to
catch up the new things.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think people are less and less informed today than I don't know. I can't say compared to the past. I don't know how much people read in the past, but just in general, I talk with a lot of people, and there's so much to learn. We talk about nuance. Every issue has nuance, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So hopefully we can bring some nuance through this channel, right? And we can try and show it to people. But it's amazing how deep things can go, and how you can, and it's very important to, as I say, have that opinion. But once you see the other side, not stick to it, but be able to shift and move your opinion and find that middle ground as you get more information.
More flexible. More,
Yeah, I think the biggest problem would be if you just are on one side and it doesn't matter what you hear, you just stick to one side, probably because of politics or something. I think that's not good. But
that's more like a religion.
But a lot of people doing that these days.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of people.
When they believe something, they will fight for them like a whole life. But just
and even if there's evidence out there that will show that they're wrong, they won't even look at it. Even if someone shows it to them, they don't want to see it.
Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe it's a first impression or something else. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think it just depends on what's important to you, right? So if you know, if the team you're on is high on your list of values, higher than the truth, then it doesn't matter what the truth is, because you know the team you want to be on, so you're going to support that side. Because for you, team is so important. And I suppose that's normal, right? Everybody has different things that are important to them.
Yeah.
So if for you that identity about being part of a team is so important, more important than the truth, well then why would you want to?
You just support them without any doubt.
Yeah. And then someone else, the truth might be more important than the team. So what do you do? It's hard, right?
It's hard.
Yeah. So,
Right. It's hard to fix it kind of.
It's like the deeper you go, the harder it is to solve all these problems, right?
Yeah, you see more, but you figure out why it's not easy to just. Before you just look at the surface, you were thinking it's just easy just to do the thing and you fix it. But when you go deeper, you realize,
it's much deeper.
Mm.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, that's another good couple of videos that we've done today. Right?
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please help us with a like, a share, or a subscribe, or just give us a comment. We'd love to hear what you think about some of these things. We're not perfect. We're always trying to improve our understanding. We'd love to hear if you agree or disagree or anything like that. So
yeah. Thank you for bringing all those new knowledge for me.
Sure, it's my job. And yours. Every week we find all these little things to show people. So great.
Okay.
Well, hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be back with you guys next week. So bye-bye.
Bye.